G'day and welcome. It's been a little while since I've had a video out, a week or so. That's not that long, is it? Had a second COVID shot and knocked me off my feet. Didn't notice the first one. It was Pfizer. Everyone says your arm's sore and all this stuff. It didn't even hurt. Second one didn't hurt. Everything was fine. About 12 hours after I got it, straight to bed. So, and I'm still tired now. You know, I'm not fully recovered from it at the moment. So it really did knock me around a bit. Right, this video, there was something like 16 gig worth of footage for this one because I put a lot of time into a CD player, a factory type CD player, and a couple of things went wrong. Got it working fantastically, but the cassette side of it was giving a lot of trouble in the mechanism, in the mechanics of it. Ended up changing the motor over, all sorts of stuff. And then after I got it all good, well, kind of good, the knobs I got for it, which I thought were the same as the radio cassette, didn't fit. And you know what? I just culled half an hour of footage. I couldn't be bothered with it. So it's kind of, you know what I mean? I've gone off on different tangents and changed my mind. Anyway, and the other thing is, of course, we've been confined in lockdown. I was allowed to go to a wreck around the corner here, and I don't like that wrecker. I think, I mean, there's a guy there that overcharges and is a pain in the neck. The one I go to is always Pick Apart. They're fantastic. They can't get there. It's too risky, and I'm not going to do it. So anyway, look, we get the interior all together. There's still other things to do in the car. As far as other projects concerned, don't know what's happening yet in my personal circumstances, but you know, it's a good thing. We're moving forward, so that's a good thing. And I want to thank Grant Wickham for Quick Load. Grant sent this to me. I've never seen it before. Great for polishing up old chrome. So we're going to use that on the XC as well. So the XC and actually some motorcycles. I need to clean up some motorcycles. They're gathering dust in here and I need to make room and all sorts of stuff. I need to tidy a few things up. So Grant, thank you very, very much indeed for that. I really appreciate it. So anyway, I'm babbling. I hope you enjoy. Well, I've got some bits and pieces in the trough ready to clean. Really grimy sort of stuff, but it'll come up all right. I'm starting to put the seats together. This is the first one I'm doing, which is the rear squab with the seatbelt in it. The worst of the seats to put together, I guess. That's, I'm not happy with. Well, I'm alright with it. It's the least faded. It's just sort of grubby under there, so I'll clean all that up. So the weather's fairly dismal. I need to get the car back together. So I think in the meantime, I'm going to start washing some of these plastics. Is that in focus? I hope. And they're rubbish. They're really dirty. I'm just going to chuck them in here. Again, we're just using the old sugar soap. And you look at this sort of thing, and it can be quite hard to clean because you've got that grain sort of built into it. So, chuck them in. That would be the drivers. Well, let's do an experiment. Put that in. Yeah, they're crap. Okay, so I'm just going to let them soak a little bit. I'll just get a sponge and just sort of splash them around and I'll come back and we'll see how they clean up. You can see I've got some pretty foul water in there. This was just that sugar soap again. I've still got loads of it left. And that's just cleaning plastics. That's all I've done in there. Just finishing tea. All that gunk just comes on. Can you see that? You can just let it soak a little bit. Not too long. But you can use a nail brush. And what happens with this stuff is that it tends to, skin oils come out and all this muck sticks to it and almost forms a sort of a hard shell which kind of has a sheen on it. Almost shiny, and when you wash it off like this and rinse it and dry it, it just has this lovely sort of flat finish. And some of it's quite stubborn, but you know, it's easy than just sitting here scrubbing away. Just give it a wipe and it all sort of looks a lot better. What's particularly beneficial is things like window winders, because they get all that crap in that sort of area there, and it's all sort of come out now. Still got a toothbrush in here somewhere. Where's my toothbrush? And these clean up well, beautifully, these gear boots. And they seem to be really, really good in terms of staying in good condition. Footrest, another one. Probably getting carried away now. I've got the vents, I've taken the hazard switch out, I'm just trying to clean up. But more importantly, in there was just black with just nonsense. You can see a bit of it still there. So I just figured, you know what, while I've got this tub full of the Makeover water, it's even getting an oily film on it. That's how bad this water is. I forgot about this gear knob. It's got a good bit of weight to it too. But also in the gate pattern, I want that clean. This lady that had it before me, April, was a very clean person. She didn't, like my sister used to put all this moisturiser on and everything had a film all over it. And there's none of that sort of stuff on here. Oh, it's hot. Like the parts aren't dirty at all. The other thing I've done is I've taken out things like this little coin tray from the console, just really to get in behind these areas here. And there was a lot of gunk on the console in those areas where these blank plugs were. But you know, these are the details which you're always going to see. And I'm getting completely carried away. You know it, I know it, and people are probably thinking I'm on the spectrum, but I don't know, I just think it makes for a much nicer car when you know it's cleaned properly and it's not just... Because detailers don't do this. Detailers sort of clean what's in there, but when you start removing stuff, that's when you find a lot of really yuck stuff, you know, that's left behind from people cleaning before, that sort of run into little corners and dried off with debris in it. I think that's about it. I think we can... Oh, hang on, I'll just give this a quick wipe. Just give it a wipe, I'm not going to submerge this thing. I'm not going to submerge it. This I am. It's just easier. And that stuff's not going to rust. It's not going to be wet for long. Just drain this water out and see what's in here. It is crazy. Look at it. It's really dirty. Sugar soap's blue anyway. But this is just brown. It's probably not that perfect in here. I'm having with this console from the Corolla. And it falls in half. So I've got all plastics in boxes here. They're all going outside tomorrow. But this fits neatly inside there, and the bondings come off. So it might just be a question of just keying it back with a bit of paper and just putting a little bit of araldite around there, just on the inside of that lid, and that will just plonk back in. It's moulded in two separate places anyway, and you can see it sort of, it fits on the inside. There's a couple of fingers to stop it coming out over there. Also the hinge here for the door has gone, and in looking at some of those in the wreckers, you don't see them, so not unless they're broken. So we'll figure out how we're going to get around that too. Oh yes, the kettle is brewing. The lighting's terrible in here. What to do? Right, so I've glued this and sort of taped it this way and that way. There's a sort of a joint in there. And they're not glued terribly carefully anyhow. They're kind of just sort of spot glued every now and then. But this one, I think, is going to be alright. So I'm just going to pop that tape off and just have a quick look. And that's looking really good. It was difficult because you don't want to be able to see too much just in there. You can just see a tiny bit of adhesive there, but I don't think it matters. I really don't think that matters too much. I could have run a tape line, but I didn't even bother doing that. But it looks fairly okay. And I ran a bit of adhesive down there as well. I actually put more down there just to give it a stronger bond. I meant to show this in the other video. It's a quick comparison between the two seat squabs. There's the one from the original driver's seat of the car, and it's knackered. It really is. That bolster's fine because it's not the one you're getting on the car. This one's the passenger seat that I picked up from the wrecker. And so I'll use that one. Obviously it's in great condition, not as many passengers. You can see a tiny bit of chafing there where people have got in, and it's clean there. But this one's knackered, and it sort of peels off and leaves a Parmesan cheese sort of, all that muck all over the place. And it's split. I don't really know. I don't think there's anything wrong with the springs as such, because there's nothing in the way of springs in there really, but let's just take it off and have a look. There's nothing to the frame at all. The frame's perfect. I mean, it would be. It's all the foam. And that side's fine. That's all sort of torn away. So, just pure fatigue. I've got a whole bunch of, metal frames and that sort of stuff. I'm not really sure how I'm going to dispose of the foam. But I've got a whole bunch of these two. I'll have another one, the bottom one for the, what do you call it? The front seat, and I've got the other back seat one, which is quite big, as well as the pan, the original one for the back seat. That was out of the car as well, and it's kind of a bit sort of bashed up and dented. Maybe because they tried to close the seat down on something, I'm not sure, but that can go out as well. So that'll all go to the scrap metal bin at work. Right, well I gave you a fairly detailed account of pulling the seats apart in the last video, and I don't really want to get too involved in reassembling it, but I'll show one. This is the replacement for the driver's seat. I guess we begin by putting the cover, or popping the cover inside out. That's the best way to begin. And then, once we do that, we can flick him over and have a look at these listings. Now, here's a bunch of wires, and we're just going to put them in. If we can see what we're doing, the light is reasonably, I'll do it on this side, it's probably easier to see. And there's two types of wires in here. They're for the same length that allows it to pivot, if you know what I mean. If you had a rigid wire up there, it would show on the face of the seat. And this long one down the centre. Right, now we've got that, we can flick it over and start securing stuff. Now, on these it'll be obvious where the other clips were to hold it in. I'm just using netting clips from the hardware. They're very cheap, they're very easy to use. They're different from the hog rings in that they're not sharp on the edge, and these are the pliers. I've had these since 1985. And they're blunt, where normally they're quite sharp. But they work by just sort of crimping around the wires. So I might have to just swivel this one around while I do this. We're securing them to the wires that are inside the foam. So there's one there, we've got to do two here, two and two there. So, that didn't sound particularly good. We're dropping listing wires. I'm just going to fold this back, grab it, and I'm looking where it was before. I'm going to hook that over, then into the centre, and squeeze around that wire. Reposition it so you can see it's pulled in there. I'm just going to pull that one down. And you can get these sorts of things, not probably as good as that. They're from Super Trim. I used to work there years and years ago. I think I had to buy these, and that's why I kept them. I don't think I nicked them. I don't nick anything. Now, what that'll do is it'll let you sort of get to both ends, but we want to pull this over just to divulge these ones here. And as we said, there are two there, so you can see where it was clipped there, and we'll just do it the same way we pulled it out. Right, that's all secured on both sides and in the centre as well. So the next thing to do is to get the steel base, and I don't know what I did with it. I think I left it outside. Just a moment. I'm back again, and here it is. Now, these things are ludicrously sharp. Across here, in those holes, like everything is sharp where they're punched out. That's really sharp there too. So, all you want to do is you want to plonk that on, and it will fit perfectly. One, because it's been here before, and two, because it's the Toyota. And what we need to do is stick our hand behind here and roll the cover on this side. Same over this side. I'm going to stretch it over, which I haven't done all that successfully, but it's sort of on. And if it's really cold and you're worried about, damaging vinyl and this sort of thing, you can heat it up with a hairdryer. Not a heat gun, a hairdryer. I'm going to pull this right back, roll it over. I'm going to do the same over here. Right over, like that. And it basically sort of kind of resembles a seat with a few wrinkles. So watching out for those sharp edges. And the fact that it hasn't really positioned all that well. Hang on a moment. We're out. I've got to pull the phone back a bit. There is a safety fold across the back here, which makes life a little easier. But it has shifted a little bit. We just need to get it on. And that will fit. Now, these bits here are tricky. There's a small channel across there, and that has to go over there. So what we're going to do is just roll it over. Put our thumb behind it and flick it over. Maybe the same on the sides there. And then I'm going to play with it. And you'll feel it go in. And you've got to get it right on to the edge. There. And then just, you'll feel it as you bring it over, if it's in or not. And also you will feel the sharp edge to the side of it, if it isn't there properly. That's kind of almost there. I'm just going to roll that. And you'll know it still doesn't look all that central, that foam. I'm not all that happy with it, but the seat looks good. And once you're happy with how it's sitting, we can pull these tabs up to stop it flicking out. Go back, and that can go back. Right. This foam is obviously not from this frame, but we can fiddle around with it in terms of pulling it back and manipulating it. It might come into the right shape, but there's a good chance it's not originally from this seat. But that could just be mere bullshitting. Right. Now, let's just pull that back over and pull this one back over. Like that. And it's already looking better. There are a few marks that didn't come out, but it's better than it was. And then we've got another listing wire that goes at the back here, which should be that one. And we feed it in. Right, put that in and pull it right up. And we've got a message. And just by doing that, it brings it right up like that, just by rolling it, if you know what I mean. And then finally, I'll just clip this bit in. That's not perfect, but it could be a slight difference in the foam, given that it might be off a different frame. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is, but who cares, because it looks absolutely great. Although, that cover's not as nice as I'd like, but it fits well. I guess the first thing we're going to have to do with this little Corolla is throw a bit of carpet in. Yeah, just beautiful. But this is, it's always going to fit, right? That's cool. Okay. But it's still not 100% clean, but it's as clean as I need to get it before I'm happy to sit in the car. If that makes any sense. It's going to tear that. Going to tear into the back seat. Not to worry. I don't think that's too important. It's a wonder. I've got something worse than that. Hang on a minute. What have we got here? We've got a little thing that pokes through there. There's a button up there I didn't take out. I've got to get that. But that's sort of how it goes. Cool. That's sort of the fun stuff. Which one is that? Must be the other side. Must be this one. Which it is. That wind lacing needs a little bit of a clean too. But there's a clip. It's all sort of clipped together. Look how those clips go. You can see the difference there. Just from being cleaned. And we're just putting stuff back together, I guess, which is sort of fun. Oh, is that a delivery? I wonder if that's a delivery. If it is, it's not for me. My ratchet. I'm not going to use quarter drive. These are only 6mm threads, but I'm going to use a 3/8 drive just because it's a seatbelt mount. I might have to clean that a bit more. I'm not happy with that. This would be a bit of a pain to put these on. There's a sort of a hole in the front of that it sort of slides over. I'm going to try and get it in. Oops. I don't know what I did with that bone tool I always use. God, that wasn't easy. There's a little clip as well. One of these little guys here. It goes in the back, I think. He's got to pull it back, stick it in here, and we're done. Back seat maybe? Alright. I used a blue cloth like a kitchen sponge and just left all this blue stuff around. First of the fabric to go back. Just a couple of bolts, 8mm bolts at the front. Right. I didn't do, well, that's a fantastic job, but some of these seats aren't that much better than what was there before. I'm just going to get that lined up. There's a little peg that lines these guys up. But I've picked the best of what I could, if you know what I mean. This relies on the back seat to sort of prop up. Where's the socket? What the heck did I do with it? And the other thing is the seat belt. I got a really good seatbelt centre one, but it was the wrong colour and I didn't notice it at the time. It was out of that Levine, which was black, and I've taken April's out. I'm not using it, but I think this one will suffice. There's also, whoops. Oh, these guys coming loose. Right. And there's that, which goes there. And I'm going to put those plugs in just a moment. And there's also a seat belt I've got to put in. Now, that should latch. Sweet. I should put this door trim on because I'm a little worried that the black crap on it is going to get all over this material. And I don't want it to, obviously. Oh, I'll put my bloody ratchet down again. Interesting when you look at some of this stuff, this is the console. They always mark, they'll have upper and things like this. This one's right-hand drive. So that is going to go like that. Just to get a gear. Yeah, I don't want to break that. Handbrake needs adjusting. Or at least something does, but we don't care because we're not going to do that at the moment. We just want to get this going. Feed some wires around and there, you know how it goes. They've got locating pins and screw holes, so I'm just going to locate it with that. And then it goes right up there. So it actually goes quite far forward. There's the screw holes there at the side. So how are we doing here? Yes, we're splendid. Awesome. And that side is looking good as well, I think. I can't see with these glasses on, I got the wrong ones. I think so. So we're just sticking 4 self-tappers in. Another thing worth mentioning is the gear boot. It has a sort of a clip frame in it which goes down over and then slots in and then clips down. And that's the boot there, and it's in impeccable condition. There's nothing wrong with that. It leans back a little bit, so it's obviously the front, and it just tucks in, you know, and sort of goes around like this and around the back and sort of, you know, kind of like that. I think that's right. It feels right. Just sort of sits in like that. The other bit goes over the top. Hopefully I can get it on now. And then we've got, ooh, a knob. That weighs a ton too. That's really heavy. Just screw it in. Super. I'm just trying to look around while I'm looking to sort of set the camera going while I'm doing screws up. That's just boring. Oh, hang on. Oh, that's sweet. Good. Where did that go? That's a switch for the clock and everything up there, isn't it? There's also a sort of a box, and I stuck this in water to wash it out. And I'm really glad I did because now it feels really clean. And that's going to sit like that. I love Toyota. I think it's just a screw goes in there, just a moment. is odd because this is the one that's scraped up the worst, and I thought that was for the driver's side. This guy goes in here, and that's a sort of a thread thing that sits on like that. And that goes, hey, don't get overzealous, mate. What are you doing? That's better. Sweet. Given that that's a passenger one, I can get a better one. That's the driver's one. I thought that was the driver's, given the condition of it. Right. Now that one, I put the boot in prematurely, but I just want to see what it sort of looked like. That's cool. I can't bolt the back of it down yet because it's, where's my screwdriver? It's the bolts that hold it in are pretty horrible. Just cinch that up a bit. There are some scratches in here where people's sort of hands have, the fingernails have sort of scratched it up and all that sort of stuff, but get in there, bastard. Perfect. Wonderful. Voice reverse. Awesome. So I've just got to put that down, and I've got to repair the what do you call it? The console lid. Running out of a bit of daylight here. Just want to, I'm going to have to clean around that instrument cluster before I put that thing back on. I just want to clean the corners of it. In the meantime, I want to put this in, and this should just slide in like that. Oh, the screws, tiny little screws, and hopefully this works. If it doesn't, we're going to be pulling it apart again. I just want to get this thing together, do you know what I mean? I've still got all the seats inside, the rest of them. But, yeah, it's fun. I like doing this. And that plug goes into the bottom, like that. Just wipe around the clock spring and in there. And the same there. That should be good. Just have to wipe that in there. The clock spring's got to be in the centre. Nobody's moved theirs. So I've got 1, 2, bit over 2.5, 2, and then again 1, 2, 2.5. Yeah, so half, 1, and 2. So it's in the centre for the steering wheel. The other thing is that I thought it might not have an immobiliser, but it's got this little node thing. If you unplug that, I don't know if you can see it, there's 2 little nodes there that must marry up with the ignition key. And that little guy goes over the barrel. Right, let's have a look at these. We've got the 2 centre binnacles. One is from the Levine / Sportiva Turbo. The other's on the left, which is the standard Ascent one. That's just a moulded thing, the same as this. Unpainted, that's just the colour of plastic they've done it in. These ones are painted in a nice silver finish, which kind of contrasts the black interior they come with. These things are all shades of that inside, I suppose. These ones are painted. I can't just put this in. It'll fit, but it won't look right. The whole interior of this thing is either pale grey or that colour, whereas these have that lovely contrast, as we said before. Now, the bit that I wanted to talk about was the centre, the clock portion that goes up here. Now, Toyota have done a couple of funny things. This is the standard grey off the Ascent, with the centre, or the clock lens, if you like, blacked out. It's just solid black plastic. The high series one, if you prefer to call it that, black buttons and a smoked lens, but the carrier and everything's identical. Okay. Now, what's peculiar about these, this is standard, that's high series. The high series, of course, or the Levine Sportiva one, if you like, has a VFD, a vacuum fluorescent display, which is hands down the nicest of the displays. Yeah, much nicer than LED. Although with that smoke lens, it does actually look like an LED, but it's not. This one here is the standard one, and all of the electronic components are identical. If we open this up, all behind here is the same. Same components, same CMOS there. A few surface capacitors, surface mount capacitors are missing. They're here on this one, they're not on there, but the pads are there. On the front, I'm not doing too well, am I? On the front, same deal. Same capacitor, same LEDs, everything. The only difference is the VFD is mounted. There's a crystal behind there to keep time, obviously, because it's quartz. And there's the clock, the chip for the clock in there too, which would have your timer and everything built into it. And that is here, and the VFD is soldered in there, and here and here. Now, that's all the difference is. And that's a matter of sense, really. I mean, if you think about these things, Toyota aren't buying these from JCar or anywhere like that. They're orders of hundreds of thousands of them. So the cost to put that in, over and above that, is virtually nothing, because you still got all the components, you still got the circuit boards, the housing, all this stuff is identical. You know, it's just a matter of the display. So I don't think it's a question of economics. I think it's more a question of, you know, putting more stuff in the high series car to sell it, if you know what I mean, rather than the Ascent, which has got pretty much everything anyway, in terms of power steering and all this sort of stuff. They spread the options out over the models. So your Conquest has power windows and slightly different seat trim. But aside from that, there's not much in that either. I mean, the Ascent still has your power mirrors and all sort of other stuff. And then you get to your Levine and you've got, I think they've got anti-lock brakes. I know the Turbo has. But the problem is also that the price difference when they were new, the Ascent was $20,000. The Turbo Sportivo was just, I think it was $40,000 or $39,900 or something like that. It was almost twice the price. So they have to offer something aside from a turbocharger. So I think it's more to do with options in the vehicle. Now these things go together quite interestingly. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this one together first, because it's the one we care least about. There's a couple of switch carriers, and it's just snap and play. I think that goes in from behind, doesn't it? And that would be your air conditioning one. That's all it is. And the top bit. Which is your Divista. That's all it is. Just fits it back together nicely, and we've got the pads that have to go in. So they're just little rubber extensions that sort of sit in there, and they react with the switch pads on here, which are one there, one there. And then it just goes down. It clips together. That's it. The clock's a bit different because you've got these other extensions that go in to adjust time. So there's a rectangular one and two round ones, and they just sit in there, and it all goes pretty much the same. And again. And we can adjust the time there, and the buttons go there. And of course, that then is going to sit in our standard dash. So that just clicks in. And that's how I'm handling it. And these things are stiff to get in, they really do. They have to go in quite hard. And there you go, a standard dash with your switches and your clock. Doesn't it look great? Right, very slowly got the car back together, or getting it back together. We've got the instrument cluster surround in, these on. I actually lowered the steering column a little bit just to get that on. We've got a new indicator switch, or old one. We'll just see if it works. I'm hoping it does. And the bottom shroud, that sort of stuff. So it's just a matter of popping the wheel on and the airbag, and then I can connect the battery back up and try out the clock and all this other stuff I've been messing around with. I put a dot there just to make sure we're in the right proximity. I'm in socks. I've left my slippers outside. It's nice being in here. It's nice and clean. I probably could have done a better job like cleaning the steering wheel and the airbag. That's the thing. But I didn't want to put generate too much static on the airbag itself. I'm sort of standing to the side of it in case it does for any reason let go. It's just held in with a couple of torque bits through here. I guess this is where we find out if the clock works that I've put in. Oh, I just kneecapped myself, or shinned myself on the tow bar. That is coming off, it's a horrible thing. The other thing I've got to check is this. This has got a non-replaceable globe in it. God damn it. Oh yeah, it kind of works. Let's tell you what the other one did. It works and it doesn't. I guess the most important thing though is our clock. I want to see if that works. So, it goes down there, and I actually want to see if the if it dims and does all that. Right, so it dims. Hour, minute, yep, and 0, yes, that works. Where's this in gear? Where's the fan? Yep, that works. Sweet. Awesome. Well, I'm not prepared to put it in with that horrible cigarette lighter receptacle thing there. So I think we just pull that out, don't we? I think I'm going to replace that, and then I'll pop it in. Oops. You go like that. Right. Okay. We've got some lights, and they're going behind these knobs, right in there. And they sort of attach it all. I love the way these cars are put together. They're brilliant. Like everything just fits and everything works. Nobody's ever smoked in here, which is always nice. Right, where's this? That goes down there. Goes like that. These had, it looked like Coca-Cola or something on them. They were kind of, it's a bit dicky. Might have to have a look at that cable. Alright, let's turn the, where's the key? Let's turn the ignition on, set the time. 3, where's my watch? 4:50. So this should work now. I'm going to have to hold this down for about a month. Right, one of the problems we've got, I'm going to take those screws out, this console bit, is the fact I use a tear section of types, or a bendy bit of plastic as the hinge, which is no good. We can probably buy a new one, but we're certainly not going to. So I reckon the best way to get around this for now, I certainly hope that's the right way that goes. Maybe it goes like that. Yes, it does go like that. That was close. Alright, I'm just going to grab a bit of glue. That's just a bit of vinyl from the XC, some spare stuff. I used to match the trim colour, which is, this is no good, I'll be throwing that out and using a different one. But, just throw a bit of trim adhesive on here. If there's any left in here. Oh yeah, there's some left. Sweet. And while I'm waiting for that to sort of take off, this is really strong, this stuff, then I'll just mask up that lid a bit and just do sort of in there, around there, because I've got to do that after I've done that bit. Waiting on that contact adhesive to dry, we can just start putting these on. I've got them all on now apart from this one. Just got to make sure that door tread, that snip button's not too grotty. And also before you set it down, just make sure you can get to the wire door handle thing, because it has a habit of falling down. You can't reach it, so you need to be able to get to it just there. And they just go on. That's all good. Nice. You got these little trim screws here. I went and actually got one of these from the wreckers. There was one broken out of the other side. They just go in. And you release them by sort of turning them a quarter turn, and they pop out. It's important to put this stuff back because it looks right, you know what I mean? Fasteners for the door trims. You've just got two big ones. They're quite onerous to sort of screw all the way in, so I'm just going to go most of the way in with this and that, and just nip it up with these, just like that. And I haven't cleaned particularly well under there, but well, zero tosses. I reckon it's going to be fine the way it is. If that goes in, which it will. Oh, okay. To approach the door handle, you can just reach in and grab that with a set of needle nose, and then we just feed it into that clip. Just make sure that clip's in the right position. It's all the way back like that. Just pop that in, snap it into position, and then feed the handle back into the car. Something like that, and screw it in. And then the only thing left is the window winder, and I'm fussy about those. I always like them look sort of facing at about 1 to 130, if you know what I mean. I'll show you what I mean. So when they're fully up, I like them sort of like that sort of position. And we can just stick that on. All good. Sweet. This is the seat. Whoops. I took out of the car at the wrecker that had the big black marks in it, but it turned out to be better than that one. So ultimately, I put the worst for the driver. Well, just the other thing I always do is wash. This is crazy, right? Wash the bolts, but you see them, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. If you don't clean them, because there's rust that forms at the front of the runners as well. I'm just going to tighten these up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Mirror, if you look, it's gone in the corners. So I've got to do something about that. So I'll pop it off and I'll stick a new one on, I think. These can be a pain in the ass, these things, because the fasteners are quite long. Hang on a minute. Oh, there we go. And so I'm just going to use a drill and get it off that way. Oh, shivers. Okay. Let's go with you. Okay. And it's already looking so much better. Alright, we'll do the rest by hand. And the thing is with this, anything tactile in a car, your rear view mirror and, you know, the steering wheel and gear knob and all this, has to look good. Do you know what I mean? Like, it has to look and feel right, because it's your encounter with the car. It's like getting in an old car and the windshield's really dirty. The first thing you want to do is clean it. When it's your own car, you don't care so much, but when it's another one, you do. And that should just clip over like that, and we're good. Let's have a little overview. Probably a better look at the mirror just there on the corners. Right, so we're not finished with this yet, but we're a little further into it. So we've got another wheel cover because I did find some brakes. So there's another one over there on the bin. A couple of seat rails are going in the bin. I've thrown all the other seat rails into the scrap metal, and let's have a look. I haven't got the, there's the passenger seat, which was so messy before, and there's the driver's. You can see the driver still isn't great on the cushion, which is the bottom bit. I will get another seat for it and change that out. I put the original radio back in. I had some trouble with the cassette in the other one. It read well, but also I couldn't get the knobs to fit. They are different. I thought they were the same and they're not. I have, there's a guy on eBay who's got a Toyota factory CD MP3, very similar in sort of appearance to that for 30 bucks. I might give it a whirl. Clock works well. I've got to get a cigarette lighter. I think I have a brand new Starlet one, but everything's just really, really squeaky clean. I've put that rubber mat down there just to protect the carpet. You can see how much nicer it is there. Footrest I haven't put on yet because it's raining out there and I don't want to, but I will. And we've put a new mirror in. That's always a good thing. In the back, it looks, well, fairly splendid. It looks really nice. And we've changed out that armrest. That was all sort of flaky and horrible. We've chucked the other one in the bin. We don't need it. And that seat's all the way back, so it shows you how little leg room these do have. But, of course, we've got lovely upholstery, not a problem at all. Right. Haven't got a mirror yet. The only ones I could find were broken. I will change that out for an OE mirror, and I'll paint it. The other thing that's on the way, or that I will get from that guy, is a boot garnish. Apparently these always break. I didn't know that. Graham told me about that. And there was another guy actually commented on it, and a guy, that guy I was talking about with the radio, I should say, he's actually got one for 30 bucks. So I said, yeah, you know what, I'll take that. The fading on the top, can't do much about that. But you can just see how lovely it is, and it smells lovely in here too. I'm not going to give you a smell demo because that's just pointless. Should go and energise some lights. There it is, there's the bottom of the seat. This was the original passenger seat that was there. Now that looks lovely. That, pardon me, looked lovely compared to the old driver's seat, but it's not. I'm actually not happy with it and I'll change it out. But you can see it's all nice and firm there. We've got new foam and all this sort of business. The console bin, I've actually repaired with a bit of XC vinyl. It still has movement side to side, but it latches and it closes. So that's okay. So we'll put that footrest back on. I haven't done that yet. So in all, really, really happy with how this is going. I'm just a little bit disappointed in this driver's seat cushion, but yeah, you can see it's all doing what it's supposed to do. Lovely illumination, that thing's going well.
Good watching you.
And I guess the keyword needs wiper blades, but don't worry about that. We got right indicator, left indicator, right indicator, and I don't know if that switch there works, but we'll, for driving lights, or fog lights I should say. But yeah, we'll just put some new blades. It needs a big service and this sort of stuff. And of course, I got myself that clock, and I'm really, really happy with that clock. I'm stoked with it. I'm getting tempted to I'm thinking about repairing that. This thing's delaminating by the day, and this is what happens with them. You can't sort of see it there, but it comes off. You can see all that clear coat? It just peels off. So I'll get into that sooner than later, I think. The only thing I'd suggest that might suit it is I might put those fog lights. I never use them. I've got them in the Commodore. I think they're in the Bluebird. Yeah, there's some in the Bluebird there too. You never use them, but I think the front of that, I don't know, I think these are the nicest looking of all the Corollas, and I think it'll really sort of, it'll kind of lift it, even though it's got hubcaps. I guess when you start doing things like that, you're looking at alloy wheels and all this, and I can't bother with that stuff, but anyway, it's food for thought. So thanks very much for watching. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. And of course, thank you very much to Grant Wickham. He's given us this for the XC's rear bumper. So we'll try that out. I've never used this stuff before.
Yeah! Okay. Who wants to clean and debone them?
I'll do it. What gives? You want to do it? Just wait till you see what I've got. It's the Wonder Boner.
The Wonder Boner?
Oh, you laugh now. Just watch. You just assemble the Wonder Boner stainless steel rods like this. Take the fish, find the top of the spine, slide him through the ring on the Wonder Boner, and voila! The Wonder Boner. My wife would like that.
Introducing the Wonder Boner, the amazing new fishing tool that makes deboning fish a breeze. The Wonder Boner's unique design removes the bones from trout, char, and whitefish.
Well, I think the Wonder Boner is a winner. So, Dave, when did you get the Wonder Boner? It's funny you should ask.
Order your Wonder Boner now. Call 1-800-310-3039 and receive the amazing Wonder Boner for just $19.95. The Wonder Boner comes complete with 3 stainless steel rod tops and 2 extension rods and will debone fish up to 3 pounds. The Wonder Boner is the perfect gift for your fishing friends and your favorite chef.
What do you reckon? Jesus.